is 1935, and Walter P. Chrysler, the founder of Chrysler, wanted to make a car that would get the business booming again. But he wanted to make a car that would be a successor to the Airflow series, maybe even outsell it. But how did a car that was destined to become one of Chrysler's biggest successes failed so miserably? Here's the history of the Chrysler Airstream. This is one of the earliest models that Chrysler has ever made, due to it only being founded 10 years earlier. This car seemed to be quite luxurious for the time due to it having 2 windshield wipers, 2 sun visors, 2 brake lights, and 2 spare tire holders, one on each fender, while in 1935 most cars did not have that. Most cars in 1935 only had 1 windshield wiper, 1 sun visor, 1 spare tire, and 1 brake light. And no heating. This one also had heating too. Quite luxurious. The reason this car failed was because people did not like the price, and America was in the midst of the Great Depression in 1935, and the base price for the business coupe, which was typically the lower end models of the series, costed $745. And these cars were about $80 to $100 more than the competitive Plymouths and Dodges. But why did this save Chrysler if there are so many flaws? Some of the reasons this car was a success in 1935 was because of the independent front coil-over suspension, which was very unique to 1935, and the fully pressurized, oil-filtered engine block with the fully synchronized 3-speed manual transmission. And this car outsold the Chrysler Airflow series by a tremendous amount in 1935. This car is what enabled Chrysler to keep their head above the water during the Great Depression, and then letting them make Mopar, making their company the empire they are today.
Let's discuss a little bit of the personal history of our car. The story is from my dad. It was a daily driver for a businessman. He got drunk, ran into a ditch, knocked the grill out of the car, crammed the radiator full of dirt. His car started overheating. He took it to a local mechanic. The mechanic told him that the block was cracked and the engine would have to be replaced. The businessman decided not to do that and left it at the mechanic. My dad's friend living in South Carolina contacted my dad, told him about the car. My dad went down, looked at the car, decided to purchase it. He purchased it for $50, towed it home from South Carolina, then stored it in the basement of my parents' home. About 5 years later, we built a small 2-car garage, moved the car into the garage, and then started on it from there. 50 years later, we have it here to start the restoration.